We are live. Thanks for joining Bulls, Bears, and Banter. That's your new little poster there for all of us.
I think the coffee
Thank
worked.
you to the team.
The coffee which we were supposed to give to producers,
We are
it
still
worked.
supposed
We're
to
still
give it.
supposed to, is it?
We're still
We haven't-
supposed to.
Oh, or maybe they
सर
are
वरना तो
reminding
आपको
us.
बिल आ जाता ना
हाँ, बिल आ जाता मुझे.
हाँ,
बिल आए.
बिल नहीं आया मतलब अभी तक कॉफी आया नहीं है.
Maybe reminder दे रहे हैं वो. They're giving us a reminder that you owe us a coffee.
You a reminder.
You promised.
We were happy.
You promised.
अच्छा चलो तो आप नहीं दोगे.
मैं बिल मैं दूंगा पर
नहीं बिल तीनों देंगे. It is
ठीक है.
our collective responsibility.
So maybe they are reminding. कि
Audience poll. Who is at fault? Sajeet, Niraj. Audience poll करो.
Yes. So, but markets surprisingly resilient.
No, not surprisingly. Sorry,
it was
not surprisingly.
Not
Why?
surprisingly.
Not surprisingly.
So,
Why
I
surprisingly?
mentioned this in the morning.
Nifty 50 has obviously recovered from the day's low, but the Nifty mid cap and small cap.
But one, I would say not surprising because somehow, okay, and this might be the famous last words, I don't know.
Famous last words.
हाँ, हो सकता है. जब बोल रहा हूँ तो famous last words हो सकते हैं,
हाँ.
right? But and it may go wrong now. This is why. With
Monthly expiry anyway भी 2 दिन में.
नहीं वो सजीत देखता मैं नहीं देखता हूँ. उतना closely सजीत दे सकता मैं नहीं. No, but Baba, for a depleted arsenal country to go up in battle with the mightiest superpower is a no-go. So you know that battle is not going to happen. Right, Ramesh Damani. I love Ramesh Damani's quote. Ramesh Damani said, and this is purely from a market's perspective. Okay, I mean, I have no personal things about whether X is doing well or Y, but from a market's perspective, if the conflict gets de-escalated, it is positive. And I think US entering firmly was the reason why. Until Friday, we were saying it gets prolonged because 2 weeks, etc. The taco trade is out now. Nobody will say taco because Trump has said, "Boss, 2 हफ्ता छोड़ो मैं 2 दिन में कर दिया," which you thought I'll do it in 2 weeks, right? So,
but that was he was bound to do that, right? Means
on hindsight.
Hindsight.
Friday को आपने बोला था कि हो जाएगा.
Friday को बोला था कि 2 हफ्ते के अंदर होगा. Simple ये बोला था. Means he it's just like what we did, right? Civil वो civil हमने check किया था कि whether we are ready on a civil side or not, and suddenly we did Sindoor, right? It's something of that sort. Okay, it's a tactical move which he is, and he's using his machinery and the tweet and everything very effectively to do it, which was there.
Yeah. So Ramesh Damani mentioned that this may well be the catalyst for flows into the Middle East region.
Yeah.
According to him, and he studies geopolitics very closely, this might well usher in the beginning of the end.
Look at Tel Aviv index, Tel Aviv 125.
Yeah.
Last 5 days it's up 7%, and since beginning of the year it's up 20%. And today it's up 1.7%. Basically, I was last seeing a couple of.
But this so what y'all are saying is that all bets of any conflict are now close to off.
See,
yes, my view is yes.
I agree with him partially in the sense that conflict-related movement or volatility is very limited in our Indian markets. That's what I agree with him. But is the volatility not going to be there?
नहीं को conflict की बात कर रहा है, volatility नहीं.
हाँ मतलब conflict-related volatility.
No, he said he's the move for conflict. वो conflict की बात.
Conflict के वजह से बहुत कम होने वाला है.
नहीं मैं बोल रहा हूँ सजीत आप घुमाओ मत आंसर को. वो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बात कर रहा है, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रिलेटेड.
मैं कह रहा हूँ कि आप ये कह रहे हैं कि निफ्टी ऊपर जाएगा बिकॉज़ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट
नहीं हम वो क्वेश्चन पे ही नहीं है. हम सिर्फ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट पे हैं. आप मार्केट पे मत जाओ. he is asking that is all bets of further conflict, not conflict related volatility. Conflict, are they over? To my mind, the answer to that is a yes, simply because the US is too powerful. I do not think Iran or any other small country has the wherewithal to go up in might against the US, and therefore, to my mind, it is over. Can they do a token Strait of Hormuz closure, blah, blah, etc.?
So then why is the IT index down 1%? Why is the auto index
IT
down 1%?
is a different thing.
Accenture.
Completely Accenture.
But why is it down? Accenture's
numbers are good, but outlook was bad.
Outlook wasn't particularly bad. See, the read-through was quite decent.
No, read-through. Look at the read-through what they have done, right? And please. You can correct me, Niraj, because you also look at IT very closely. Between 4 to 7, they said 5 to 7. They've raised the lower end.
Correct.
Right? But their employee guidance have come down by 10,000 odd, which
Fair.
is there, right? Now, in a scenario where orders are coming, there is always a thing of you increasing the top band, which basically means that your growth, which you projected at 7%, I don't know whether 7% is going to happen or not. They may end up at 6.5, or even 5.5. But point is that order flow guidance or the and optimism which was supposed to happen in Q1 as an indicator for the entire IT industry is not coming through. That is why the Indian IT, and plus IT index has also run up in the last 1.5 months. We've seen index going up, right? So there's a correction because of that, and Accenture is adding to it. So Accenture numbers were good, above street estimate from top line, EBITDA, PAT, everything, but the guidance outlook was not coming through. That is what is disappointing, because what we were expecting, even in Q1, we expect Q1 to be very flat or negative for Indian IT companies. That is given. What we are looking at is that is the revival in order flows coming back or not. And if it comes back, then we see the second half to be much better than the first half, and that's what the street will be penciling in. That's my understanding.
Yeah, Mota Moti Kankar, the only addition I'll make is that, and again, I in the morning thought that it was good because all the brokerage notes, or a lot of them were constructive. I think that I was talking to Jasmeet, and Jasmeet was telling me that the Gen AI orders, QOQ, are just up about 9%. So there is no big trending move for the biggest technology on world stage right now, and for Accenture to bag it. So that is also that incremental, whatever, concern, yeah, whatever you call it.
Big orders are not there. US BFSI orders are not coming in. Transformation orders are not coming in. Order within the same thing. What do you call it? 16-17 billion dollar revenue. They had what, 8 billion or something. Not 8 billion, 1.5 billion. ऐसे कुछ था उसका. 1.47 billion dollars of AI revenues basically, and that too is not pure AI. It's integrated with the existing orders, with those orders which are there. So from that point of view, it seems like that it's going to be a very muted outlook which is coming in for the IT. So Accenture was down 16% or something. Cognizant was down on Friday. So all of these two, which are Cognizant normally is the end one, and Accenture is the beginning, and in between the Indian IT companies get sandwiched with their outlook. But it's coming. So that's why the IT index is on 1.4% today.
बाकी सब ठीक है. But again, in IT index also specific. So IT services are down. ER&D is not down.
Yes.
So specific vertical led things are doing okay. But by the way, guys, the other really impressive two or three key things. We'll discuss Z individually. We'll discuss maybe Kira Ayurved or Aditya Birla, etc. The new listing. Before we do anything else, we'll talk to Hersh about the RBI on overdrive and blah. And we also have to talk about the advanced tax numbers, which have been wobbly.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe talk, Sajeet, very quickly advanced tax, and then Hersh to you on the RBI on overdrive.
So the numbers of advanced tax came over the weekend. Tax for Q1 was up 4.8%, which was very muted growth coming in. Now, why I say muted is because it's on a PBT level. India Inca kitna, what is the tax you paid on a Q1 percentage, and it's 4.8. So on a PAT level, if you bring it down after taking out the tax, it's around 3.25% growth coming in Q1 on a year-to-year basis, which is very dismal. I think we were some of the street was penciling 8 to 10% of growth for the full year. Q1 में if we are coming at 3.5% growth on PAT, then it is the entire full year guidance is also going to be, and जो सर ने बोला था 28,000 होगा सितंबर अगले साल सितंबर से पहले, वो लग नहीं रहा है मुझे 28,000 होगा.
100%. वो तो लिख लो सर आप.
वो लग नहीं रहा है अगर अर्निंग्स ग्रोथ ऐसी चलती रही तो.
लिख लो.
ये बैंटर यहाँ पे चलता रहेगा whether earnings growth come or not.
आना है. Reserve Bank of India is behind it.
No, but are you disappointed with this number? Because I was quite surprised, frankly. And how much of this, if I can ask both of you, because both of you have tons of white hair, so you all have so much of experience.
I have from 18 onward, age 18. तुम्हारे कौन सा उम्र से सफेद है?
But give us that experience, some part of it. Generally, when advanced tax numbers are bad, does it also spill over to the results? Would you see that? And how much of this is urban versus rural? Do you feel that only urban markets are more impacted generally when these advanced tax numbers come out, or even rural, for that matter, could well be impacted?
I think there are two factors which are coming in. One was the cautious thing which was in Q1. One Sindoor towards the end of April and May, early May or mid-May, we saw people holding back on their consumption or investments. Let me put it this way: means investing into consumable items or that kind of stuff which happened, and that is one of the reasons why the sales are not happening for the companies there. And secondly, the entire April, May, and June is, from a global point of view as well, there only those companies which were going to meet the July 9th target, we would see some kind of push in their revenues in sales happening, because they're pushing it across to the US. So export-based companies might do well. That's my estimate. They're pushing the stuff into the US, and because there's a pause of on the tariff which is there. So those companies may do well in the top line part of it, even if it comes at the cost of some bit of margins. The third is that in the last 2 to 3 quarters, we have seen raw material inflation now getting into the P&L, and that's impacting your margins and your PAT. So that's some of the reasons, could be the reason why it is happening. Niraj, anything else you want to add?
No, broadly, I mean, so not much more to add. I mean, there might not. I would suspect that there will be, usually there should be some bit of a correlation between the advanced tax numbers and what the corporate profitability could look like. Will the markets be too disappointed with it, or will the markets want to hear the commentary from the companies? I was a bit surprised too, simply because I thought that Q1, like to like, will have a very good base effect benefit, and therefore the growth numbers could look okay. So maybe that's what happens. And despite the fact that the numbers might be wobbly, in lieu of the advanced tax numbers, but the comparative numbers over Q1 last year will still look okay.
And we're not talking about the Nifty 50 companies or Nifty 500 companies. We are talking about the entire India Inc., right? I mean, in the sense, corporate numbers have been simple as that. Non-corporate numbers, if you look at, it was negative, by the way.
But अपने साथ है Reserve Bank of India.
हाँ, तो क्या हो रहा है Reserve Bank?
एक और चीज करी फ्राइडे को, है ना?
हाँ. मतलब बैट पे बैठ के मतलब छक्के पे छक्के मार रहा है.
There's massive amount of push that's come in terms of policy right now. I think this is the best in the last 4 years that I have seen, that I've been tracking the RBI. This is the best 6 month space where we've seen a slew of measures
easily,
and it kind of just so some of these measures are not necessarily large impact on profitability, but they are more sentimentally positive.
They show the intent, right?
Correct. Intent. It's intent over everything else.
No,
frankly.
Hersh used to be very pessimistic about small finance banks, but this move helps them in a way.
Not.
मतलब एक AU को छोड़ के बाकी सब पे तो आप थे.
Yeah, I was pessimistic about microfinance. I don't know where that is headed, and a lot of people sit in that camp. But
jury split,
but I think there are more people now migrating, and that has happened after the stock prices have moved, actually. So I think stock prices have moved early, and thereafter we've seen a large migration of people now saying, hey, this is a good space to be in. And not defending myself, but point being that I don't think this will materially impact small finance banks. I'll be honest with you. Like I texted the CFO of a small finance bank and I asked him, so just give me your take. Give me your first take. What's the sense like? He said, nothing changes for us. Strategy remains the same. We have enough PSL. The only possible positive that this could add to was the fact that you get to sell some of the PSL on your books, which is priority sector lending, which is mandatory lending, which all banks have to do. But small finance banks have to do much more of that. Now, the priority sector lending for small finance banks has been reduced from 75 to 60, and therefore they have that little bit of more bandwidth to sell that priority sector lending, and there is a pocket in the market which needs it, like
Which
an
is
HDFC bank,
Okay.
for example, and they need large PSL. So this could actually favor an HDFC bank
उनका रेशियो करेक्ट
because-
करने के लिए चाहिए उनको.
because they can purchase PSL at a far lower rate.
Great.
So that could be one positive as well.
Yeah, just the small other way to look at it. Two points just on this. One, that it seems that with the corporate tax numbers, etc., and growth being what it is, and crude oil prices now back to 79, 80, whatever, maybe the fiscal room in the hands of the government is low, and therefore you know that the ball is in the RBI's court to help growth in such a scenario. So is the RBI doing that? Yes, it is.
What happened to the dividend they got
What?
from the RBI?
हाँ तो मिला, but भाई मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि keeping all of that in mind, there is probably still limited fiscal room. The belief was that the RBI might even, the government might even do a fiscal stimulus. But now with crude being where it is, Sajeet, I think they will, they will be cautious. They'll say, let's wait for a bit. Let's prepare for the contingency. My belief. I'm not the government. I do not know.
Because.
But wait a minute. Just the second point. A lot of SF small finance banks applied for the universal banking license because ये जो PSL का जो limit था, they wanted it lower, right? Now that it has become lower, it is incrementally a positive, right, for them?
It is incrementally positive, but I don't think that. So okay, there are two aspects to this. One is to have a tag of small finance bank against your name. Now think about it just as a customer. If there is a small finance bank who comes to you and tells you 8% FD हमारे FD छोड़ो, okay, चलो हमारे साथ एक account खोलो, right? And then there's an IDFC first or a private sector bank, a full-fledged universal bank, a federal bank comes to you. You'll always be more open as a customer to go to a universal bank rather than a small finance bank. The small finance bank tag is what's holding the deposit as well as customer growth back to a certain extent, is what a lot of SFBs complain about.
एक सवाल पूछूं मैं.
बोलो.
क्या रिटेल कस्टमर को फर्क पड़ता है कि ऊपर स्मॉल फाइनेंस बैंक लिखा है या
सर
बैंक लिखा
पड़ता है, परसेप्शन में फर्क पड़ता है, परसेप्शन में फर्क पड़ता है.
Poll.
Let's do a poll and I'm sure perception में फर्क पड़ता है. Guys, the poll is very simple. Between a small finance bank and just bank written at the end of an entity, would you be more tilted towards bank over small finance bank?
AU is small finance bank.
Yes.
AU वही है ना जिसमें आमिर खान और KR आडवाणी ने ऐड करा था.
Yes.
कि भाई हमारे यहाँ पे एक फिक्स डिपॉजिट खोलो.
Yes.
So therefore they went all out too, right? So the question is, yeah. So AU is a prime example. See, I'm a neutral party, so I'm advocating both sides. कि देखो लोगों ने AU में खुलवाया भी था, AU में खुलवाया भी होगा. So if an AU bank were to come to you and say हमारे यहाँ पे डिपॉजिट खोलाओ versus a universal bank, and forget the big ones, but the small ones, IDFC. So AU versus IDFC, दोनों आपके पास आते हैं, बोलते हैं फिक्स डिपॉजिट खुलाओ या अकाउंट खुलाओ. Will you be differentiating between the two? I think that's the poll question.
Yeah.
Perfect poll question.
Yeah.
ठीक है, चलो. Now we need to take questions, but उसके पहले very quickly, Z में क्या हो रहा है?
They've come out with a presentation. They're talking about growth going massive. Means we were trying to figure out कि भाई they're saying that okay, we will go to the EPS which was there in 2019, which was 17 rupees.
16 rupees, right?
16 or 17 rupees.
और currently 9 रुपए.
7 रुपए.
7 रुपए.
7 रुपए. So, and we were thinking 3 साल में, and that's a 3-year target. 3 years में you're talking about profitability growth of 33% CAGR to reach there.
Not just that, sir. You have a fresh issue which is going to become.
Which will dilute it further.
And if he's saying 17 rupees in 3 years, I would assume that it's post the fresh issue. So you want to factor that in. So it's not exactly 33%.
It's more than 40%.
In my humble opinion, it's much more than that.
You're saying a fresh QIP.
Yeah.
The promoters
so
को दे रहे
promoters
हैं.
coming in 2,000 crore.
Putting in that capital.
Yeah.
Right?
Warrants
के through. So here's the deal, right? Now the promoter is putting the money where the mouth is. Brought in the capital at 132, not like I'll do it at 120 or some sly number. They are giving this very bullish outlook on numbers as well, right? At some point of time, they might need to raise some further capital. They'll have to walk the talk. Are they so confident about business moving up? And if Z is so confident, I wonder if percolates to the other media spaces as well or not.
Can I ask you one simple question, right?
Will people trust it?
No,
Is your question?
that's one question. That's the second question. The first question is that, if I am saying that my share price is undervalued, then and I have only 3% or 4%, and I have that kind of money with me, I will go and buy it from the open market rather than putting. Now, okay, you're infusing the money into the company. Your argument, for argument's sake, 25% आया है, पर अगर आपका 132 के ऊपर नहीं जाता है कल शेयर प्राइस, और ओवर द नेक्स्ट 18 मंथ नहीं जाता है, will the promoter convert at that price?
तो 25% तो गया ना फिर भी
सर करेगा कन्वर्ट,
पैसा तो आया
अरे
ना।
हमारे पास अभी एग्जांपल है जहाँ पर सीसी
नहीं सर, वो प्रमोटर नहीं है सर, बहुत फर्क है दोनों में बहुत फर्क है. He is on and on about Ugro, yeah.
And the guy came and gave some these things as well. But anyway, just be that as it may. Chalo, that's a separate case in point.
But
See,
my point is,
you're
okay, 40% growth every year.
And you shifted the goalpost suddenly.
अभी but dilution 40% हो गया ना, अब ये dilution भी तो बोला ही है. He spoke about dilution. ठीक है, 33% आपके लिए 33% ही रखते हैं next 3 साल के लिए. 33% growth, that means you're going to grow at similar level at the top line as well. Simple as that. So you're doubling your revenues from here on, basically, right? And margins coming in at healthy. Margins which have contracted will also hopefully go up in that.
तो margins ऊपर गए तो फिर doubling of top line नहीं है ना? हाँ. So फिर the bottom line will grow at a faster clip than the top line. हो सकता है.
But yeah, the question is that will the street believe in this?
Yeah, it's a
see, it's जैसे IT companies बोलते हैं ना, aspirational margin is 28 to 29%, but we are still at 22%. That's our aspiration.
देखो भाई, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, आज है ना, आज के दिन the market is actually giving it a thumbs up. Now, whether it continues that way or no.
No, I'm all for it. See, someone was pointing this to me.
Sorry, just बताऊँ मैं. Sorry, just one minute. And I'm not saying it will go back to that. But FY19, their EBITDA margins were 32%.
Yes.
They are at 15% right now. मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ 32 होएगा.
W.
So let's assume, अगर मुझे पता नहीं है कैसे, I really doubt that media has the pricing power to double its revenue margins to 32%. But if they are factoring in some fashion, hula baloo, जो भी abracadabra करके, if margins go up from 15 to 22 or 23 also, if they take the margins higher, cost cutting, ये वो फलाना ढिमकाना, then they don't have to grow the top line by as much as the bottom line. That's my limited point. It's a tall ask. But I'm saying they're putting it out in the print.
Assume करो 50% top line growth होता है, margins double हो जाते हैं 15 to 30% और आपके profit भी double हो जाते हैं 3 साल में. That's a fair ask, right? Simple
That's a fair math.
Is
it a tall ask? It's a very tall
ask. That's what.
So be careful. But a lot of
and by the way, FY17 में इसकी EPS था 23 rupees. FY19 में 17 था. So we are not at FY17 में. So imagine the slide which has started happening from 17 onwards.
Yeah, but with reason, right? They've lost share, OTT has come in, all of that.
Yes.
Let's see.
So OTC is still going to be aggressive.
No, and now they've also launched their OTT. So
Z5 was always there, yeah, Baba. Z5 was always there.
They've not played the big game like the big boys have played.
They started off with a big game and they lost out in the middle.
Yes.
When the merger with Sony was happening,
so a lot of it, according to me, is on execution also, right? I mean, basically they have all the
Niraj,
the masala in place.
I was following them
in
the last 5 to 6 years because from a point of view of content, and they always had a huge content cost in their balance sheet because they used to pay for future content and everything. Now they will have to invest that much amount again in content to get that OTT game back. That means that you're talking of 500 to 600 crores of investments. Which is there.
Probably, which is why the promoters are infusing.
But then let's see, but they have already 2,200 crores of cash. You said, na last time. You only said
cash है.
Cash है.
But उतना तो चाहिएगा ना to fight against
Geo
and
Sony
and Amazon. You need that.
1,500 crore, 1,250 crore का cash equivalent.
Cool. Let's take questions.
Take questions.
हमारे शो की तारीफ हुई है, so thank you so much for that.
नहीं उससे काम नहीं चलेगा सर.
Niraj sir, your interview with Ramdev sir was very informative and good. Know your markets more.
Grey hair are better than no hair. MP Jain.
तुम अपना hair क्यों check कर रहे हो?
क्योंकि no hair नहीं कर रहा है. I'm hoping that he's not referring to me. But anyway.
The next question is interesting. Bovil is saying, please give your views on Ugro Capital. Up today, give your views as a bull. Please do this.
वो तुम दो.
सर आपसे आएगा तो स्टॉक प्राइस ऊपर जाएगा.
नहीं वैसे नहीं है.
नहीं यार, देखो यार, मुझे लगता है bullish argument for all NBFCs is only this, that the RBI is now relaxed the space and therefore the whole pocket can grow. Ugro specific, I haven't tracked it as closely. Just
No,
that the interview that we did.
No, I'll speak about it. So,
but I would urge Mridul or whoever else, our team, to just drop that interview.
There are two interviews on Ugro.
There are
You
two
can
interviews.
drop both. Yes.
Okay, fine.
You can drop both. Now, Bhumil, so 2-3 factors which I like about Ugro. One, they've not had any asset quality challenges whatsoever. Their asset quality has been good. Their credit costs have been controlled. They do MSME lending, not a problem. Point number 2, their growth has been extremely strong. So on a strong growth, to maintain asset quality is a clear thumbs up. But point number 3, with regard to valuations as well, it's not as demanding. I believe the price to book is around 200 rupees. The stock is trading at 170, and therefore it's quite undemanding in that sense at 0.8 times trailing 12 months, not looking expensive. So those are my 3 arguments. One thing that you should look out for is the fact that this entire saga around acquiring such a large company, right? Typically, acquisitions don't work out too well. This is purely based on what the founder of Nalanda has written, and with regard to investing, and you can read whatever he's written. Just Google it, and you'll find it. And therefore, typically acquisitions, large ones, don't really work out. There are exceptions in every case. Like that, there could be an exception in Ugro. They've made a cheap acquisition in relative terms. Just one-time price to book is what they've paid for it. And what you also want to see is how they execute thereafter, if they execute well. The other piece, of course, is Sajeet sir's concern with regard to fundraise and giving an extra 12.5% to shareholders which were supposed to subscribe to shares at 265 rupees a piece, that or 264 rupees a piece. That doesn't look too good. And we've quizzed the management. The interview obviously will get dropped in the comments. So maybe couple of things to look out for and couple of positives with regard to Ugro.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Next question.
What else?
Next question is on.
I think only the Indian government can speak to both countries to stop the war, and the only person is our Modi ji. Iran already requested India about this.
Yes. Really?
We have
The
Alex
Iranian ambassador
Kalachian
in India
who has asked this.
wanted intervention from the Indian government, saying that why don't you intervene?
I didn't know this. Okay.
But the point is that this is a global thing. I don't know. I'm sure. See, the very fact that Iran opened up airspace to evacuate Indians from that country talks about the kind of influence that India has, or the relationship that we have with Iran, and we have equally good relationship with Israel as well, right? In that sense.
That's true.
Outlook for Indostar. There is.
I sorry, Kartikeya, but I haven't really studied it in detail, so please pardon me. But let me do that and get back to you. I have been meaning to study this company, so I'll study it and I'll get back. Ashish Malik, in today's volatile world, teacup in Sajeet sir's hand, Hersh biting the lip, and Niraj sitting nodding his head while saying to put things in perspective are the only constants. Thank you for that, Ashish. Hopefully we continue to do what we're doing because that's what matters. Consistency.
To put things in perspective, we don't give tips.
Tips needed.
JBY Consultancy. Any view on Styrenic's Performance Materials Limited?
No, I don't have.
Haven't
We have
studied
to
it,
have
so
a look
sorry.
at it actually.
Dynamic Cables, Ashish Malik is asking.
I don't know.
Sorry. Drawing a blank. But we should, Harsh, maybe we should try and ask these questions on closing.
Yeah.
To any of our
Yeah, we'll have to see how large the
May-
company is as well.
Yeah.
No, Styrenix though is a...
Styrenics I know
is
is,
a
but
fairly-
this
Maybe we can,
this other
tell.
one, Dynamic
Isn't it an
Cables, I'm
MNC
not
company? Styrenix, I think. ABS solution.
Yeah.
I think it's an MNC.
Yeah. I think auto ancillary. Yeah?
No,
Need to check actually.
yeah, I need to check.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Views on Bhuj
Push.
Nifty.
Bhuj Nifty.
Bhuj Nifty क्या होता है?
Gift Nifty.
Gift Nifty.
No, there is also, if I'm not wrong,
Grey market.
There is also
ग्रे मार्केट निफ्टी को बुलिश निफ्टी कहते हैं.
I think unless I'm very wrong.
हम मतलब
I may be very wrong actually. I don't know. But I
But
think
but no
there is a-
knowledge because we don't
No.
track it.
no,
Frankly.
you have a vibrant Indian market, capital markets. Why don't you trade there? Why are you going?
So वो तो Nasdaq है फिर भी वहाँ पे भी grey market है. वो
हाँ.
grey market तो is a reality for lives.
No, don't burn your fingers
Which I agree.
and money
Shouldn't.
by investing in companies or in curb trades or off market trades or other stuff. There is a good vibrant market. Secure your capital and you stay there.
Okay, Roshan, given today's scenario, can the markets be wrong in the immediate short term?
When you say
Wrong.
wrong, मतलब in what sense?
Wrong
It's going to
मतलब
go
क्या ऊपर या
down.
नीचे?
ये नीचे ऊपर.
Niche.
अच्छा
नीचे.
ऊपर और नीचे के दोनों का केस. मेरे
Niche.
हिसाब
I
से
think niche. I think that's what he's referring to.
I mean, that could be. See, per se, I think we have got our own fish to fry. Sorry, or own khakras to seko. Because we've got an issue, right? We have an issue. Advanced tax numbers are lower. Growth isn't exactly firing. Crude is back to 78, 79. So it's not as easy for our markets as otherwise. And therefore, could the markets anyways drift lower? Yes. But I think most people have said that we'll actually see new highs soon. So keep that in mind, that if money flow were to start in again from the global funds, then it could well be very, very constructive for India.
I wrote a piece on this about how July is going to be the most volatile month for the market in 2025.
Kab likha?
आज it's already there. It went in a newsletter, my weekly newsletter, and उसमें
What is
अगर
it called?
it's called Brace for Impact.
No, in your newsletter it's called Brace for Impact.
Brace newsletter is called Open Interest.
Open interest.
Open Interest, and this was Brace for Impact, and in that there are 5 things which are coming up in July. One was if there is a escalation because Trump has come in and Iran comes in some way, because even now, just a while back, you had the Iranian general talking about that we have the right or we reserve the right to act on it. The second one which was there is the July 9th deadline which is coming in of Trump. We are just 2.5 weeks away, and Trump has just signed one agreement with UK. And I think Malaysia is the second one which may happen because they're talking about we are already done or something. We have no clue what India is going to do. We haven't reached that stage where we are saying, okay, interim agreement will come into place. So if Trump tomorrow says that 26% is coming in, we are in a deep sea basically in that sense. But at the same time, if Trump puts a 90-day, like TikTok, I'm giving another 90 days or something, then we are pushing the can down the lane, saying that and this uncertainty also moves with that. At the same time, then you have the Fed meet which is coming in. You have the earnings in July which is there, and earnings as we spoke, the advanced tax are not showing good numbers as of now. So that's very volatile. We need to see कहाँ पर कैसे हो रहा है. Means we don't know. And the final thing is we end July with BOJ decision. So these 4-5 things which are coming in is going to create a lot of volatility in the month of July. And going into the expiry, which is in next 3 days, we're going to see that some of the weak-hearted will say that okay, I'm going to withdraw. I'm not going to roll over my position, and we may go light into July because they want to see how it's going to go. But next 48 hours is going to be something a watchful watch what Iran is going to do. Let's see. I mean, it's a volatile month going to be for the markets.
Yeah, agree.
तो अगर शॉर्ट टर्म 1 महीने का तो ये 1 महीना बहुत वॉलेटाइल है भाई इसके बेसिस पे.
But sir, I want you to open your seasonality chart.
July
is what I am about to tell you.
Yeah, you always July has been a good month. That's what you're saying, no?
July has been the best month in terms of returns every year for the last 10 years. Okay, maybe not every year, but average returns for the last 10 years, if I recall right. No, not this one. The monthly returns, correct. Yes. And look at July.
3.53%. It has always given.
The best return comes in July. So you either it could swing one way or the other.
But in either way, it's going to be volatile. Simple as that.
Somebody mentioned, right, that we'll hit new highs in the month of July. Some technical chartist, Gautam Shah or somebody else. Maybe not Gautam Shah, somebody else mentioned this.
Yeah, I think Gautam ne wo kiya tha, but there's too many events which are now scattered in the month of July that, if we are able to manage at least 3 of them, then the second half is going to be a good one for the markets in that sense. Second half of the year.
Okay. We need to just increase the pace
Yes,
of
yeah,
this.
pace. Let's.
BL fundamentals sustain the present rally. Will it
It's a- it-
justify?
Maybe it may cross the. It may look little expensive, especially because now it's only in the index, which is there. And by the way, 3,000-4,000 crores of foreign money came into BL on Friday because of the passive flows which came in. And so that's something which we need to keep in mind. And now BL being in the index will always be there. So even if it's highly priced or overpriced or richly priced, whatever way you want to say it, funds will keep it because that's an index stock now, and they have to keep the tracker there in that. So there will be demand for BL going forward, but it's a long-term play. It's not a short-term play. It's 4, 5, 6 year play because of the order book that it carries.
Penar? Any of the what we'll do is Penar will take on closing
Penar
for sure,
Styrenix ABS.
and AB Capital as well. Nirav
AB
Kukaria
Capital, a
as
lot
well.
of people are very constructive by the way.
Correct.
So Parag Thakkar, for example, just very quickly,
Hmm.
Parag Thakkar has come in and said that with all the book and the kind of tailwinds that the RBI has given, he's very constructive on AB Capital as amongst the top NBFC ideas. Remember, he's not recommending the stock. It is one of its top ideas in his portfolio.
Okay. Vaibhav Seth is saying yes, the tag matters. Small
Acha,
finance
comment-
versus
no,
universal.
this is a comment on
MP
poll. Which comments are coming in? So,
So MP Jain is saying I will never open an account with a small finance bank. Karthik Shetty says that doesn't matter in my view. Ashish Malik says doesn't matter if I'm getting good interest and comparable services. Bigger banks in any case don't prioritize you as the customer. Karthikeya Pawar says that yes, it makes a difference because the larger population doesn't know AU the way they know IDFC first. How many really do know the difference? Security of money is the thought in their limited knowledge. That's the way.
A split decision.
3:2 at this point, but we look at the votes.
We look at the
And
final
I'm
vote.
hoping.
No, but he's right.
No, I
You know,
thought Amir Khan and Kiara Advani made it popular.
No. That's for
popular
AU.
enough.
See, the point. What I'm trying to say is that no one knows the difference between
हाँ, वो
finance
तो बराबर
bank
है.
and वो. तो मुझे कोई बैंक अगर
Sir, वो तो-
7% सेविंग्स देता है, तो मैं उधर जाऊंगा.
नहीं सर, पर वो आप हो.
No, तो nobody knows कि FD में पैसा नहीं डालना चाहिए. पैसा और
अरे सेविंग्स की बात कर रहा हूँ, एफडी की भी बात नहीं कर रहा मैं यहाँ पर.
नहीं.
What nobody knows.
हाँ.
Anyways, but yeah,
हाँ,
guys,
जल्दी,
we'll wrap, huh?
जल्दी.
Top sectors to build fresh positions, 25 to 28.
Today, Mahesh Nandurkar said it is BFSI and defense in his view.
Okay. BFSI defense.
I think NBFCs for sure.
Okay. NBFCs. Why is stock market and economy divergent? Be it US or India?
Always divergent. No
Okay.
per se, no real short-term correction. Long-term, of course, they'll be aligned.
This is Devanshu Kumar. Now, Himalaya Sharma. Love the show. Daily part of my life. Please share your view on Reliance Industries. Will he get retail and Geo shares for free? That's what he wants.
You're talking about will
आपको
Reliance.
पता है मुकेश भाई को पता है?
देखो मुकेश भाई को पता है, पर मुकेश
आपको
भाई
पता है?
मुझे पता है, मुकेश भाई को पता है. ये बोल देता मैं. पर you will get the shares free only if he goes for a demerger, vertical demerger, like he went for Geo Financial Services. अगर वो होता है तो then you will get it. If it doesn't, I don't know. But I think the fact, I think we were speaking to a couple of people on Reliance who were tracking Reliance, and they said very clearly that IPO आएगा तो Reliance will get a holding company discount. If they go for a demerger, it creates value creation for all the shareholders.
Perfect.
Now I want to highlight the poll.
Sorry, just before you do that.
No,
we didn't answer that. Sorry, just very quickly.
Sorry.
Why the divergent? Simply because the economy is a confluence of, let's say, 2 lakh companies, right, which operate in the country. Nifty 50 is just the 50 stocks, which is why we said, right, it's a beautifully managed index. So Nifty 50 will always continue to do well or couldn't continue to do well even if the economy is not. So that's the small reason why.
Roshan, KYC on Eureka Forbes, for sure we'll do it. Sriram, Pistons as well is one of the questions. Again, it's on my KYC list, so we'll do that as well, but can't take it up right now. We're completely out of time. The poll. Will you be differentiating between small finance bank and bank? 80% yes. 20% no.
I'm still a contrarian.
Right now, you're going to accept that he's right. Don't keep on defending.
I'm a contrarian.
That doesn't
Simple
matter.
as
You
that.
lost
The
the
contrarian
poll.
can always be right.
You
At
lost
the
the
end.
poll. You
अरे
lost the
सर
poll.
जनता का पोल है
जनता.
यार मेरा थोड़ी
ठीक है, you want to
अरे सर
What, you saying you will win the war? Now you know Sajeet never accepts defeat. Chalo guys, let's
Chalo.
go.
सर
Okay.
कौन सा और
See you guys. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Thank you. Bye.